Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Write or Die Show. I'm your host, Randi-lee. On the show, we interview other writers and we talk about mental health from their personal journeys. If you have not already hit that like and subscribe button, go ahead, do that now so that you never miss an episode. Joining us today from not too far away from me, we have Chasity Strawder. Hello.
Hello, Randy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Besides being cold, I'm great.
Yeah, I don't like the cold. So last week we were in Cuba, my family and I, and then we came back and I want to
Mm-hmm.
go back to the warm.
Right, right.
Yeah. I was like, but while we were away last week, there was like this little mini snowstorm, and I was like, yes, because it's always better when you're away in the warm and it's
Right.
really cold here.
Yes, exactly. I
My
completely
nephew
agree.
wasn't too happy when I told him that before I left, so he blamed the mini snowstorm on me, and I'm like, too bad. So tell us, who is Chasity?
Well, I am a wife and mommy of two boys. My oldest just turned 19. Help me. And my youngest is 12. I'm also an author of a book called Broken for the Promise. I had a very terrible, traumatic pregnancy with my youngest son. And I wrote about that experience because it was very therapeutic for me. So my book was released in 2014. I still talk about it because I think it's something, it's a hopeful story. Of course, it has a great ending. I'm here and alive and all that good stuff. But
Yes.
I think it's something ongoing that people need to hear, that they can overcome those types of
Yeah.
circumstances.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I love taking my adversities, I guess
Hmm.
is a good word to use, popular
Hmm.
word, and sharing them because the worst thing whenever you're going through an horrible time is feeling all by yourself and not
Yes,
knowing that you aren't all by yourself.
correct. Correct.
So
I
that's
completely agree.
yeah, that's why I write about it and that's why we do the
Hmm. Yes,
show.
exactly. Exactly.
All right. So what mental health are we going to talk about today?
I'm going to talk about depression and anxiety. It's something that I battled with for a little while and still working through some kinks of the situation, but definitely better than I was.
Awesome to hear. I always like hearing that.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, there's always ups and downs, right?
Yes,
Always.
good days and bad days.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
you start your story wherever makes the most sense for you.
What makes the most sense for me was probably, well, I guess the fiery part of it was this time last year, actually. Beginning of last year, I started the year in a very, very dark place. I was struggling to get out of bed. I was crying a lot. I was, basically just wanted to stay in the bedroom with the windows pulled down, shut, and all to myself, rolled up in my blanket, and just struggling to have a quality of life outside of feeling gloom and doom and dark. It got to the point where I was having a lot of emotional breakdowns. I didn't want to eat. I just wanted to stay in the room. And then what really was the huge, the red flag that was screaming at me was when I started calling the suicide hotline. That was when I knew that I needed to get some help.
Okay. So we're going to dive in there. But just so that people are aware, the suicide hotline is available to you. Like,
Yes.
let's make sure that you use it. I know you're in the States and I'm in Canada, but we both have them. Might be a
Mm-hmm.
different phone number, but we
Mm-hmm.
have them.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure that you guys reach out when you need the help. That is
Yes.
so important.
Yes.
All right, so back to your story.
So for someone like me, reaching out for help or saying that I'm struggling to the point where I need something apart from myself is difficult because I'm a
Mm,
perfectionist, strong person, like to have it all together, have it all figured out, kind of
yeah.
like I want to help and save the world. But at that point, I needed to save myself.
Yes, and that is another super important point is you can't help somebody else until you help yourself first. There's my cat who wouldn't leave the room. The other ones did. I know I love you. missed you too. Um, it's like when you get on an airplane. See, I just keep thinking about vacation again. But it's when you get on an airplane, right? And they tell you you put on your oxygen mask
Mm-hmm.
first
Mm-hmm.
before you help anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're down and out, how do you help somebody else? It doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
So how did you come out of this?
So what I did was I knew two things. There were two factors with my issue. One was that I'm completely menopausal as a result of surgery in 2015. So
Okay.
those very important female organs I no longer have in my body.
Me
Um,
neither. Well, they
oh,
see they left the ones that give me the hormones though. They left
okay.
that, but all
So
the other bits they took.
yep, yep. So I lacked the ones that were giving me the hormones. Also, I had my thyroid gland removed in 2016.
Okay.
So another thyroid hormone, another very important
Yes.
hormone that controls so much more than you know, and until you, for me, didn't realize it until I had it removed.
Yeah.
And it's a juggling act to get those hormones balanced. So I knew I needed to seek help for that. And other things that I was wrestling with was just feeling a sense of from the pandemic. I don't think I bounced back from social isolation, finding
Okay.
myself at home all the time, not going out, basically cleaning, cooking, not having an outlet for myself. Because once again, I'm saving everybody, and I love my family, but was finding more and more that I was not taking any time for myself,
Okay.
you know. So I sought my doctor. We did a hormone panel, where those hormones were checked, progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, DHEA, and also thyroid hormone. And they were all very, 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 very low, very low. And so I'm in the appointment, I'm crying my eyes out, literally telling her everything that I'm feeling. And she also suggested, because this is a holistic doctor,
Hmm.
she suggested that I see a psychotherapist, because I was dealing with a lot of just inner pain from life. Sometimes you just have life happen, and
Yeah.
things just stack on top of the other, and you just don't deal with it because you're strong and I can handle it and
I
I'm
can do it
okay.
all.
Yes, I
Yeah.
can push through
Hmm.
it,
Yeah.
and it just stacks up. So I took her advice. We started a therapy for my hormones, to get my hormones balanced, and I took the referral and started seeing a psychotherapist.
Excellent. So a couple big points there. Hormones play such a huge role that I don't think a
Yes.
lot of people give them
Hmm.
enough credit.
No, they don't.
And it's definitely not something that's come up that much on the show. And
Hmm.
only because it's individual story, right? But
Hmm.
so that's why I wanted to point it out. Hormones can play a huge role, especially, and I mean, I can only speak because I'm female, so I don't know about how men do it. But for females, we go through more than one type of puberty,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So that can really mess us up at
Hmm.
different times of our lives.
Hmm.
So you might have to go and get that checked because that is a huge part of it. Same with vitamin deficiency that goes
Yep, I
along
was
with
about
it
to
as
say
well.
that. Vitamin
Yes.
D. We found that my vitamin D was low. Vitamin D is called the sunshine vitamin,
Yes.
and my levels were low. So especially this time of the year, we live in areas where it's gray
Yes.
outside, it's gloomy, you don't see a lot of sun, you don't get a lot of light as with other seasons. So that affects the body, it affects the brain,
Exactly.
the serotonin
Yep.
levels.
And there's really no other way to get it except like the sun and then the vitamins.
Yes.
So take those vitamins because
Hmm.
I was once told by my family doctor a long time ago, well, you live in Canada. Everybody in Canada is low vitamin D.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I'm like, it makes sense because it's from the sun. And yeah, we don't
Right.
have a lot of sun, especially in the winter time. So
Yes.
yeah, I definitely take vitamin D
Yes.
um as well when I
Right. I'm the same way. I'm like, I know I'm supposed to be taking it, but how long ago have I
whoops.
taken it?
Yeah, exactly. Upstairs.
Right.
All right. So, and how did the psychotherapy go? Because that's definitely a topic we've talked a lot about on the show. Therapy
Mm-hmm.
is a huge
Mm-hmm.
um coping skill for a lot of people, for me too.
Yes.
So, tell us, how did that go for you?
It went very well. At the beginning, it was honestly very, very painful. It's very difficult because I had to dig deep, get underneath of my facade of I'm fine, I'm strong, I'm okay, I'm over that. And then when you're sitting there with tissue piled up on your lap and
Yes. Yep.
you're snotting and crying from the north, south, east, and west, and it's like, okay, I'm
Hmm.
fine, but
Right.
and you discover that I'm not okay. And those are some pain points I need to revisit in my life
Yeah.
so that I can move further into just being a healthy adult.
Yes. So fine. I got to talk about that word fine because it's a
Hmm.
word I use all the time to describe how I am,
Hmm.
which is fine when I do it with just people. But when I go to my therapist and she goes, "How you feeling today?" "Oh, I'm fine." "Well, fine's not an emotion. So let's
Hmm.
try this again. How are you feeling?"
Yes.
I'm like, "Damn it." I'm like, "I don't know. Fine." She goes, "Again, not an emotion. Try again." I'm like, "Stop calling me out."
Right.
So she really helped me expand my vocabulary past
Hmm.
fine.
Hmm.
Because yes, fine is not an emotion. She loves pointing out to me. So that she always calls me out. So if you catch yourself saying that, "Oh, I'm fine," stop and say, "What am I actually?" Because
Yes.
you can be fine in the sense that you are not upset.
Yes.
You are potentially happy.
Right.
You are not sad. Right?
Right.
Like you need to label it with some other words than just
Hmm.
fine. And
Hmm.
that is actually a lot harder than it sounds.
Yes, especially to a person like me who just wants to be perfect,
Yeah, we're the same.
who wants to be the strong person,
Yeah.
that just takes it and, and then I bury things, and then, it's part of what was affecting me mentally and emotionally and also physically as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. So let's talk about the physically part for a second. A lot of people don't always recognize, and a lot of people do.
Hmm.
But I'm just thinking about a few in particular in my world. Don't recognize how much their emotional state is affecting their physical state.
Yes. Yes.
So, how did you figure it out, or how was it affecting you physically?
It was affecting me because I was going weeks without sleep. Insomnia was very big for me. Digestive upset, either not having an appetite, uh, weird cravings. Believe it or not, when
Oh,
you're off, when your chemical, hormonal, mental state, people tend to gravitate more toward fatty foods, fried
mm,
foods,
yes.
candy, sugar. Because you're trying to fill voids and stuff
Yes.
things. So I was gravitating back toward junk. So I knew that was a big thing. Also, not just digesting food well, because you got negative emotions that are just sitting in your, for women, it kind of sits in our core,
Yeah.
so then you have the bloating and, the stomach pain and things of that nature because you just haven't dealt with what's in there.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely got that stomach pain
Hmm.
going.
Hmm. Yep. Gastritis. Yep. It's
Yeah.
huge. Yep.
Okay. And so how did you finally I'm trying to keep my count on one side of my desk, but she just won't do it.
I
I
can
fe-
see you, so that's the most important face.
yes, yes. Normally I kick all the cats out, but because I was gone for a week, I feel bad doing that right
Okay.
now. I
So
can't
they're
do that.
missing mama.
Exactly. So the
Hmm.
other ones were like, "Okay, I know what's happening. Peace out." This one's like, "No. You already
Right.
left me for a week. You're gonna stay here." And
Right. Right.
I
Just
can't in
like
good conscience.
humans. Just like
Exactly.
humans.
I can't in good conscience kick her out today. Um, Now where was I going before that? So, yeah, how did you figure out that you needed help? Was there an
When it was
aha
starting
moment?
to it would affect my family, because I
Okay.
have a husband and boys. I'm the only girl in the house, so my men are very attentive, and so when they started seeing my state of mind and being, and I'm noticing the concern on their faces, and my husband is in tears, and he's like, he literally told me at one point, he said, I don't know how to help you, but you need help.
Yes.
So I had to do it, not just for myself but for my family, because they didn't know what to do. I was in the bedroom and I didn't want to leave. And, I'm crying and I'm not together as they normally see me. So that's when I knew that, yeah, it's time to come out of this.
And that's so important as family members, as friends. We are the ones that know a person's state of normal, right?
Mhm.
Everybody's normal is a little bit different, but for each individual state of normal. And when you see that person not being in their state of normal,
Right.
you may not know how to help them, and that's
Right.
totally fine. But let them know, hey, something's different. Like that is so
Mhm.
important because sometimes I know when I start going down the deep dark rabbit hole of depression,
Mhm.
I don't even recognize it right away.
Nope. Nope.
It's it sounds strange even hearing myself say it out loud. And if I didn't experience it myself, I don't think I would believe me
Right.
because how do you not know it, right? But
Right.
you don't always recognize that it's happening.
Mhm.
And so having that external person who knows you really well, whether it's a best friend, mom, spouse, your kids, having that external person be able to say, hey, I've noticed that you're starting to go down that dark hole again, or however
Right.
they want to word it,
Right.
is so important.
Right.
So, my message for those listening, if you're the friend, don't be scared to tell them that
Right.
you're noticing these things.
Right.
It's not
Mhm.
a matter of, and for a long time, this is what I used to hear in like high school and elementary school whenever mental health would be brought up. If you tell them, they'll think about it more. No,
Right.
right? That was a
Right. Yes.
huge thing that was
Yes.
going on. If you tell them,
Mhm.
they're going to think about it more. Well, that's not the case. If
Right.
you tell them, they can then start to recognize it and then
Right.
go and get help.
Right. Right. And you
So,
can go with them if they don't want to, they're afraid to step
exactly.
out. You can say, because I'm noticing these things, I can go with you
Yeah. I'll
to,
dial the phone for you. I'll
right.
hold your hand.
Exactly.
I'll
Hmm.
drive you. Whatever
Exactly.
it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Whatever it is that you can do to support them, but never ever be scared to point it out to them
Hmm.
because if you don't, they might not recognize it.
Yes. Because mental health challenges are really huge right now with our
Yeah.
youth, with everybody from the pandemic to just everything. It's big right now. So there needs to be more of a recognition and, like you said, that support of saying that I'm not just going to say, I'm not going to say anything, this is not my business yet,
Yeah.
but you need to.
Exactly.
Hmm.
If you are really in friends with that person or love that person, you need to say something. That's
Yeah.
how you show your friendship. That's how you show your love by being there for them and telling them. And not in a mean way, not like, oh, you need help. Not like that.
Right.
Because yeah, that would be kind of off-putting.
That's kind of harsh.
Yeah, yeah, but like just hey, I've noticed lately you seem a little
Hmm.
more down or
Yes.
whatever it is. Because maybe they're swinging the other way if we're talking bipolar or something. Hey, I noticed you're really hectic lately.
Hmm.
Right? You use whatever term is going to be gentle, but still get the point across.
Right.
And then,
Exactly.
follow it up with, do you need me to do something for you?
Yes. Absolutely.
So yeah. So I'm glad that they were able to tell you and that you were able then to take some steps. So they pointed out to you and then you started therapy. Is that where you went first or where'd you go first?
I actually was doing two at the same time. I was doing the
Okay.
hormonal therapy. The first 3 months of the hormonal therapy was actually probably the most challenging because the hormones have to get in your body and start to
Yes.
work. So, and then you have to get the right balance of dosages. So the first 3 months, I was still feeling yucky because I was still trying to get the balance, the right, the patch, the pill, the cream, all that
Mm,
stuff. But while I was doing that, I was also taking care of my emotional state where I was digging into my childhood, past relationships, traumatic experiences, and coming to grips of what happened, that I was pained by it. And this is what I need to do to move forward from it. So it was simultaneously, at the same time. So it's pretty heavy, I would say, because my therapy started around March of last year, all through the summer, all through the fall. Bless you.
Sorry, Blackie.
So it was heavy duty stuff, but I needed every minute of it, the attention, the time, the energy to take care of myself.
That is so important. And so, what was your favorite strategy that you worked on with either your therapist or whether it was the hormone? What's your favorite strategy?
It was basically putting myself first.
Okay.
Putting myself first because I was used to, in situations, because of fear of rejection and abandonment, putting what other people are thinking before my own. And then somewhere I lag behind. So then putting myself first in situations allowed me to say no more.
That's
That I'm
good.
not really doing this for the myself. I'm doing this for the person in front of me because I don't want them to be angry with me, to be upset with me, stop talking
Mm-hmm.
to me, because I was trying to hold on to so much to deal with some pain.
Yeah.
So putting myself first in a situation allowed me to say that, you know what, I really don't want to do that. I thought I did, but I changed my mind. And then it was like the burden was lifted. And then I go to the next situation, something else came up. So learning how to, I know self-care is a big, big term,
Yes. Huge term.
everywhere,
Yeah. Yeah.
self-care. But for me, it went deeper than dinner and coffee and getting my nails done. It really went with what was up here, how I was
Yeah.
seeing myself. I was seeing myself as like this,
Yeah.
and it was coming out in everything with my kids, in my marriage, with other people, that I just did not consider my own feelings in part in a situation because I just didn't care about myself like that.
Yeah. All right. So thank you so much for sharing all about that journey. Is there any last piece of wisdom? I don't like calling it advice, wisdom that you would want others, those listening, to know.
That you are worth it. I had to realize I was worth the help. I was worth picking up the phone. I was worth going to the doctor's appointment. I was worth taking the medication. Um, and don't be afraid, even if you have to get on something pharmaceutical, because I know everything now is holistic and, I can
Yeah.
just wing it. But don't be afraid. You are worth it. Even if it's something temporary, you're worth every bit of love and concern that you can have for yourself. And if it means medication, if it means therapy, if it means journaling, if it means talking to someone else about your struggles, then do it.
That is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So let's switch gears here and talk about this book. Tell us a little bit about what you've written.
So the name of my book is Broken for the Promise. It's actually on Amazon. You'll see the book. It's, the cover is the orange and brown cover. So I wrote this book. I was dying of a disease. Actually, it's called gastroparesis in pregnancy. My body did not like being pregnant.
Oh,
Um, at the time of my pregnancy, we were also homeless.
oh
So this was going
no.
on at the same time. And I
And this
walked.
is with your, sorry, with your second son?
Yes, my youngest, Joshua. He will be 13 this year. So we were going through this very traumatic experience with my medical condition and plus our financial devastation all at the same time. I had Joshua and realized that that pain was kind of suppressed because it was so traumatic. It was just about surviving it. So I
Mhm.
remember sitting down one day, probably he was around a year old, and I started journaling and I started bawling and crying and remembering all these things that had happened to me in the course of the pregnancy. And I decided from that point that I needed to share that story, not just with my husband and my children and a couple of close friends, but with the world, because I feel like that with what I not only went through, but I survived it and overcame it, that
Mhm.
I felt like it was a hope story that I needed to get out, that other people could benefit from traumatic, crazy circumstances in life and see that, you can get through it.
That is awesome. Those are some of my favorites. I mean, I love completely made up stories with like monsters and stuff, but I also really love people's sharing the worst times in their life and
Yes.
how it is okay and how they got through it. It can be so inspirational, so motivational to just keep going.
Yes.
And so you said that's on Amazon.
Hmm.
So everybody go and check it out.
Right.
Also, are you on social media? Can we follow you?
Yes, I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram at Royal Diadem, ROYALDIADEM 1975. I'm on LinkedIn as Mrs. Chasity Strawder, and I'm also on Facebook as Chasity Strawder.
Excellent. We're going to stick those links in the description down below.
Okay.
Uh, is there anything else that you want to share before we say goodbye?
This is actually my very first time speaking on a public platform about my mental health struggles, and I was ecstatic to do it when I saw your bio on radio guest list, because I feel like the more people share, especially at this time because of post-pandemic and
Hmm.
everything else is going on, I really feel like more and more and more people need to have the courage to speak up about their mental health. I'm a Christian. I know it's taboo in the church, you're not supposed to have these types of struggles because of the Bible, but it's indeed something that can happen. It happened to me, and I was ecstatic for the opportunity to share that is something that I also I'm overcoming.
I'm
Yeah.
so glad that I got to be the first one that you got to talk
Yes.
about it with.
Yeah.
That
The
makes me
first
so
time.
I'm so special.
Yeah. So this is unforgettable.
Excellent. Oh, I'm so glad. So again, thank you so much, Chastity, for coming on the show and sharing. Everybody, check out the links in the description down below. Give Chastity a follow. Go check out her book, and yeah, let's just keep going.
All right. Thank you very much.
So we have a sponsor for today's episode. It is Taylor Smith Design, and I have been using the services for, I guess, over almost over a year now. I use the do-it-yourself services, and it makes posting on my social media so much easier. Seriously. They have a user-friendly platform where I can schedule all of my posts for the whole year on multiple social sites at the same time. The best part about that is that I can create recurring posts, so I don't have to constantly redo the same thing, which works great when promoting my books. Plus, if you run multiple businesses like I do, since I'm my kid's momager, you can hook it up to multiple accounts. One price for all of your needs, and it saves me so much time. Depending on the level that you sign up for, it can do so much more than just that. I'm still trying to figure out some of the features that it offers. If you need an affordable solution for your social media needs, then go to getseensocial.ca, use code write or die to get your first month totally free. All right. Who doesn't like free? Remember, you want to go to getseensocial.ca and use the code write or die. Get that first month free. As always, thank you so much for the amazing guests that we have on the show. Be sure to check out their links down in the description below. If you want to support the channel, go ahead and check out our merch store. We've got some very cool things on there. That's my favorite. Sorry, I'm busy ending the stigma. But there's some other very cool designs. 10% of the proceeds always goes back to the Canadian Mental Health Association. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at RB Media because we have some great new shows coming up and you never want to miss any of those episodes. And remember, the only way to end the stigma of mental health is to speak openly and honestly. Bye.